bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John don't come for you?
It's rare that you see a serial sex offender, but we had one amongst us. And I can't compliment the Winter Haven Police Department and my deputies enough for their work. I'm going to show you the photograph of a very dangerous person. He has a pedigree in being a sexual offender, a deviant. And it's just by the grace of God, at least that we know of, that we don't have any sexually abused dead children. But Deputy Chief Vance Monroe is going to talk more about that. Let me introduce you to Robert Miranda. Robert is 42 years of age. He was arrested in 2000 for lewd battery on a 12-year-old child. At that time, he was 17. So, for whatever reasons, they withheld adjudication. But the good news was they did designate him as a sexual offender. Now, he has a criminal history for years of cocaine abuse, and he bounces back and forth between Brevard County, Polk County, different counties. He gets probation here, probation there. He's locked up for some period of time, but this guy has never been to state prison, and he's got a long criminal history. So let me take you to February 16th of this year at Avenue A and 2nd Street Southwest. There's a mother and daughter who are 30 and 60 years of age. They are simply visiting Winter Haven from North Carolina because they wanted to take a vacation. They looked online and said that, wow, that Winter Haven's a beautiful place. Let's go down and check it out. Well, they saw more than they wanted to. So they're literally standing and admiring Winter Haven when this guy pulls up in a gray Mitsubishi Outlander and masturbates in their presence. Will they attempt to get his tag number? He doesn't have a tag number. So they notify the Winter Haven Police Department. Now let's jump ahead a week. No more activity. February 23rd at 7:20 in the morning at Avenue H and 15th Street Northeast, Winter Haven. This one is in the unincorporated area, just outside of the city of Winter Haven, where this guy pulls up and at 7:20 in the morning ask this 9-year-old child, you know, have you lost a dog? I've got this brown and black puppy shivering in my car. Come over here and look at it. Well, even at that age, she ran. She ran to a neighbor. She was out waiting to go to school. She ran to a neighbor to report this guy who reported that information to us. Then just a few minutes later at 7:40, he shows up again at Avenue J Southeast and 4th Street inside the city. Now understand, between the city and the county is just like a street or two. So on February 23rd at Avenue J, he drove up to a 12-year-old who was wearing a hoodie and had bangs and started masturbating in the presence of the 12-year-old. And that was reported to the Winter Haven Police Department. So the Winter Haven Police Department, as a deputy chief will explain, they put out a bulletin. They're on it. We figure out, hey, after talking to the police, that it's not just our one in the county. It's not just their 2 in the county. We're up to 3 in a very short period of time. We don't have a tag number. He doesn't have a tag on his vehicle. Now, folks, When we saw this pattern of activity, there is normal criminal conduct that we all deal with. And when you look at the three of us, I like to think of me as the youngest of the three. But when you look at the three of us, we've got 100 years of experience in this business, more than 100 years of experience. We knew immediately that we were dealing with a deviant, that a dangerous deviant. Between the police department and the sheriff's office, we had over 100 detectives working on this case. And here's what our supervisors told them. It's a gray Mitsubishi Outlander with no tag. Now go find the guy. Now, folks, that's no leads at all. He's supposed to be in his 20s or 30s. He's wearing all black. When he does these things, he's wearing black shorts, black shirts, and a black or dark colored mask. And the detectives start to work. They piece together video that all of the detectives working together, they piece together videos. And on one piece of video in another part of town, guess what? We found a tag number. So I want to stop for a moment, and I want to congratulate and thank the business owners of Winter Haven. When you put that video in place to protect your customers, to serve your customers, to protect your business, you all collectively stopped a serial sex offender and allowed that person to be caught. And I congratulate our business community. So we do this investigation. We have the tag number. It leads us to Mom. It turns out the family owns a used car auto auction between Haines City and Lake Alfred. And she has loaned this car to her son, who is an auctioneer. We find him in the car in Titusville. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. That's how awesome all of our detectives working together and the strength of our partnerships working together in fast order. We found a guy on the other side of the state that was an imminent danger to the children here in Polk County. We then learned, obviously, and his mother told us, hey, he's a registered sex offender. And we arrested him on March the 1st in Brevard County and served search warrants at his house. Guess what we found? Newsflash, black surgical mask. Then we did a search warrant on his Outlander, and guess what we found? Newsflash, more mask. One of them had what appeared to be polka dots from a distance, and there it was in the vehicle. Well, March 6th was his birthday, and that's the day he arrived at the county jail in Polk County. We moved him back over here 5 days later. That was only part of his birthday present, was to visit Gradytown. The other part of his present was our detectives, in addition to the sex offender violations, lodged attempted kidnapping charges and lewd behavior conduct charges. Our goal is to lock him up for the rest of his life. We were able to enhance these charges because he was wearing a mask when he committed the crime. Our state attorney, Brian Haas, is simply the very best. He and his office recognize how dangerous this person is, and now he's locked up. But for the remaining, we can't rely on a police agency to say, hey, we've got this guy in an Outlander vehicle. If you have anything like this, let us know. His dad owns a used car auction. It's endless, the vehicles. And like the director and the chief said, this guy's 42 years old. And to quote Director Byrd, this ain't his first rodeo. There are other victims out there. What we don't know is, are there dead children someplace around this state with detectives working around the clock trying to figure it out with another vehicle with no tag on it with a similar MO? That's our big fear, is what else has he done, because he has. And his parents told us part of his job at the auction is to move around Florida looking for vehicles for them to auction off. So he goes to different car dealerships and businesses all over the state. In fact, he was cited in, I believe it was Titusville or someplace in Brevard County, for operating a vehicle without a tag on it. So did that police officer catch him just before he was going to grab a child someplace else? Or did he expose himself to some adult who just paid no attention and wandered away? But listen, folks, I want the community all to hear what the chief and the director and I'm saying. We need to charge him with everything he's ever done. If he gets out again, he'll be after your kids again. And that's a guarantee, because that's who he is. Any questions for us?
Sheriff, I just wanted to ask you, what was your reaction to seeing the surveillance footage?
I was first excited that we had the surveillance footage, and you'll be able to see some of it. You can see how strategic and stealthful he was in his conduct, where he would take the tag off and back around, and he kind of hid the car so he could put the tag back on it, and the tag was off when he would actually go to his prey. This guy planned his events in advance. That's why I think there's a real possibility of a lot of other events. I pray that there's no dead children, dead and sexually abused children in the group. But this guy has been doing this for a while. That, once again, there's 100 years of law enforcement experience here. We've been there, done that, investigating these kinds of people in the past. They are rare, but they are real and they are dangerous.
You've already spoken to this, but I think people may hear 100 detectives. You expelled a lot of resources on this. Obviously, you were trying to prevent the worst. You thought that the worst was possible.
That's exactly what my colleagues, and once again, you know, I brag on my deputies, my detectives, and the relationships with the police department. We had cops out on every street all over Winter Haven because we knew he was coming back. But we happened to find him before he came back. And the reason for a lot of these resources is we had no tag number. All we had was a description, and we could not allow him to come back to this defined area, which is now his area of attack, without us being there. So how do you make sure he does not get out of our dragnet? You put law enforcement officers every place. And I thank God for our detectives that found him before he got a child.
test done on her when she went to the hospital?
Yeah,
And that your semen was in her vagina?
no, there was no semen in it.
It says your DNA was in her vagina.
No.
Okay.
He was convicted of a horrific crime a year after committing it through DNA evidence.
Good morning, Fernando Cruz, 410.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the whole application for Fernando Cruz, inmate number 400910, serving a sentence of 13 years jail, followed by 20 years of special parole for 2 counts of kidnapping in the 2nd degree. As of today, records reflect the parole eligibility date, September 13th, 2023. There is no victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has completed the following programs. He has completed a short-term treatment program, voices, and alternatives to violence. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score on the RT falls within the low range of risk. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for the sexual offense recidivism falls within the low to moderate range. This is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I wrote a letter.
Go ahead and read it, sir.
I regret the choices I have made. I understand how my actions, I regret my actions affected my victim, even if my own family, how my decisions made in anger changed my whole life. My best lessons that I learned this past 10 years is self-control, accountability. I can control I can control what happened to me, but I cannot control, but I can control what I could control the way I react to it. My plans, if I was to get released, is to work, study, so I could eventually start my own auto repair business. And what will help me stay focused on my goals is my family, good friends. I have missed 10 years of my children's life. I have a mentor and Pastor Davila, who I can turn to when things go hard and I need advice. I know if I was to get released, there is a lot of hard work to do ahead of me, but I have spent the last 10 years working hard to prepare myself and better myself to look forward to continue to improve and learn what to be a productive member of society and a role member to my children, to help to show them that even if you make a mistake in life, you can take accountability and work to improve your situation, that you can change and improve your life if you're willing to work hard. I want to continue the programs on the outside because they have really helped me grow as a person. and I want to continue to mature, learn, and grow. I will never come back to this environment of prison. I will never forget where I was, but I will always keep moving forward, never stepping back on the OC, maybe a better man, to be a strong, willing father, hardworking survivor will with my Lord Jesus Christ.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you for that opening statement, Mr. Cruz. Did you write it yourself or did you get help doing that?
I wrote it myself because this past 10 years, I understand that I gotta take accountability for every little mistake that I have done in my life. And I gotta show my kids that if you do a mistake, you gotta take accountability and grow up and show people that you gotta grow up and be mature and show them that if you do a mistake, you gotta show them like, okay, I take accountability for that, and take your time, do it, and
Okay.
then when you come out, don't do it again. Don't
Okay,
do the same mistake.
it sounds good. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take turns to ask you questions.
Okay.
And then when we're done, we'll deliberate and then we'll let you know what our decision is. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Page to begin with the questions.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Cruz, I hear what you're saying and you're trying to set the example for your children, but I would hope that your kids don't make decisions that would wind them up in prison. You know, like, I mean, nip it in the bud before that, you know? Because it looks as if they tried to work with you prior to this offense. And it didn't, you violated the probation when you had that chance. So I'm glad that you have gained some insight from this period of incarceration.
Yeah.
And you certainly have participated in the programs that would be appropriate, or the programs that we would like you to have completed prior to coming to before us. I see that you also did, the officer said that you participated in the sex offender voices and alternative to violence program, but you also did the fatherhood program, right? And you did the CLIP program, and you're working now in the maintenance, so you're a maintenance worker there in the facility. So it sounds as if you adjusted Mr. Cruz to being a complying young man there in the facility. So I commend you, because I know it's not easy. I know you got off to a rough start. You got a couple tickets back in 2020, but that was the last time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the offense. You talked about your regret for your actions and your decisions, and you've learned that you don't have to, every action doesn't deserve a reaction, and you did some things out of anger. However, I did not really hear you hone in on the victims of your cases. How do you feel about them, and what do you think your actions, the impact that your actions have had on them?
It's like by me selling drugs and acting crazy that's how it affected my victim.
Well, I show that you have two victims, and I show that in each of them, you kind of coerce them into getting into your vehicle. I mean, do you have daughters?
Yeah, I got daughters.
How many daughters of the 4 children you have? How many?
I got one daughter.
And,
And I got
and
my little sister.
I saw that your sister is also supportive. In fact, your mother and your pastor and some of your friends wrote letters on your behalf for support. So you have the love and support in your community. So that's a good thing. A lot of people don't have that. So, but I'm asking that because how would you feel if your daughter was walking to her friend's house and someone just grabbed her and forced her into their vehicle?
I'll be pissed.
Right?
I'll be
Right.
pissed.
And how do you think your daughter would feel? She'd never want to walk alone anywhere ever again. Ever. And that's what many women feel. A lot of people, looking behind their backs, always checking to make sure that they're safe. That's the fear that you've instilled in these victims.
And that's one of my regrets.
Yeah. Well, that's something that you need to say, though, because the more that you say it, the less regretful you'll be. And I also wrote that you do not take responsibility for the sexual assaults and these crimes. Is that still your position?
Yeah, because I never touched him as a sexual assault.
So do you know that one of the victims had a rape kit, a rape test done on her when she went to the hospital?
Yeah.
And that your semen was in her vagina?
No, there was no semen.
It says your DNA was in her vagina.
No.
Okay. That's what our records indicate. So I'm just curious to know, how would your DNA be found on her if you guys didn't engage in sexual contact?
There was never saying about that.
Okay. All right. So that's something that you're going to have to address when you're out in the community too. I'm going to look it up now because I don't want to misstate things on the record, but I did specifically write that down. So that's something that you will have to address when you're out in the community. And were you required to appear on the sex offender registry or no?
No.
Okay. All right. So do you have any qualms with participating in sex offender treatment out in the community?
No, I don't have no problem with it.
Okay. And do you know that, how do you think you'll handle being perceived as, oh my God, he's a sex offender, when you return out to the community? You lost a considerable amount of weight too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at your picture and I'm just like, it looked a
Hold
little.
on. I'm not in the sex offender register.
No, I know. I'm saying that when you'll have to participate in sex offender treatment out in the community, and if people understand that and they know that that's what you're doing, how do you handle that when you're out in the community? How do you handle people saying, "Oh my God, he's a sex offender. He did, he raped this girl or whatever." How do you feel about that? How do you handle that?
I'm gonna handle it like I always do. I'm gonna.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna have to explain to them what happened and everything.
Yeah. Do your children know what you did? Or did you tell them the same story that you're telling us, that you?
No, the mom explained to them what happened.
So you admit that you pulled them into the car? You admit that one of the females you actually dragged into the car?
It was they saying it a drag. It was not like a drag. It was a drug transaction that went on, and that's what happened.
Okay. So do they know that you had sex with these people?
Who?
Against their will? Yeah.
No, they don't.
Yeah, I think that you need to have that discussion with them. Mr. Cruz, I honestly do commend you on your efforts. I really do think that you still have some more work to do, but I really do think that you are regretful that you're there. And 10 years is no easy, task to be in prison. So, and you've taken some programs and stayed out of trouble, and you have 20 years of special parole to follow your sentence. That's a lot of time. How do you think that you'll be able to complete that successfully?
With my family support.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. But I would encourage you also to develop a good relationship with your supervising officer, because yes, he or she does have the authority to arrest you and bring you back to prison and violate you and all those bad things that you hear about them in that facility.
Yeah,
But they also are there to help you. They don't want to arrest you. They want you to be successful. And so if you need help, you need to be comfortable enough with your officer to say, listen, I'm struggling, help me.
That's what I'm planning to do. I'm planning to, like, if I need help, I'm gonna ask them for help, and I know they're gonna be there for help with me. And that's what my mom was telling me.
Yeah, your mom's a smart lady. All right, I'm all set. Thank you, Mr. Cruz. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rodriguez.
Thank you. I have a lot of questions. I think my colleague asked quite a few questions. I'm still a little concerned that on some level you are taking some responsibility around action, but not totally taking all the responsibility on action. In fact, the PSI does say that there was a DNA match for you, and I'm having a challenge with that, because I think you're trying to do better and trying to get better, and you've taken some pretty good programming since you've been there. But I'm still challenged by the fact that you're not coming to grips with whatever it is, and maybe you didn't drag them in, maybe you lured them in with the drugs. I don't know, but whatever it is, something's not kind of matching up here. So, and I'm having some concerns with that. But I will acknowledge that. I will acknowledge that you are,
The drug problem. Yeah, I had. That's the main concern that I had.
But we still have the documents that show there was a DNA match in the rape kit. So that's conclusive. That's that's there. But in any case, I think you're doing. I think you're heading in a good direction. Voices. I hope you learned that Voices is about the victims, because I also didn't hear anything specifically about the victims. I heard you take responsibility for some of your actions. They were more related to your drug dealing and drug issues than they were the impact and effect on the two victims of this particular incident. So I think you need to think a little bit about what you learned from Voices and what you got from it, and kind of get that straight in your own head, and maybe come to the reality of what really was going on. I think you need to have a good relapse prevention plan when you leave. You need to kind of really focus in on that, because you did have some issue with, I think, Percocets and ecstasy. Some of the drugs. And what else?
Morphine.
Yeah, I know I saw the Percocets, the ecstasy for sure. So you need to work on some of that as well. But I do wish you the best of luck, Mr. Cruz. And at this moment, I don't have any additional things to say, any questions, Madam Chair.
Yes, so, Mr. Cruz, yes, you don't have to be on the sex offender registry, because the deal that they made with you was for you to accept the 2 counts of kidnap with the 20-year special parole. And so that was your reason for not being on the sex offender registry. I do hear some change, but I do agree with my colleagues that you still need to do some work. I'm not sure if you have totally acknowledged your responsibility in this, because you originally denied it and said it was drug related. So I think, Mr. Cruz, before you can move forward, you really need to acknowledge in full what you did, and then, come up with your release plan and how you can do better.
Yeah,
but you
that's
are on the right path.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That my actions was the drugs that affected everything. My the drugs that I was doing was affected all my victim, affected everything that happened. And if I wasn't doing drugs, if I wasn't selling drugs, I wouldn't been here. I wouldn't.
Well,
My,
yeah, it happened already, so you just have to focus on moving forward, which is what I think I hear you starting to do. So with whatever time you have there, that's what you need to focus on. Okay? So we have no further questions, so we're going to deliberate. You can listen but not say anything. Mrs. Page?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the effort that Mr. Cruz has put forth to kind of rehabilitate himself. He certainly has made tremendous strides. He's taken the appropriate programming, and he does sound as if he has gained some insight. There are several concerns, as we all pointed out in our questions in the period, and just listening to him. And the good thing is that he continues to have the support in the community. He's not opposed to taking the program in the community, and he understands that he still has work to do on himself. With all that said, my vote will be to deny Mr. Cruz discretionary parole today. He does have 20 years of special parole to follow his sentence, but the nature of this offense, in my opinion, is difficult for me to move past. And I understand that he may check all the right boxes in terms of suitability, but for me, it's the nature of this offense is the primary reason why I am voting to deny his request.
I agree, Mrs. Page. Thank you.
Madam
Mr.
Chair,
Rodriguez?
I'm in the same place. I'm not voting, could not be voting for parole today for the same, basically nature of the offense, which on some level he still is not coming to grips with. And that concerns me. And also not a really solid release plan for him around relapse prevention. And there wasn't, by his own words, drugs were very critical in this situation. So I will not be voting to support the discretionary parole today. Recommend.
I do think that Mr. Cruz could consider, taking, I know he took the SO and the voices and the alternative, but I think he really needs a substance abuse program. So my vote would be to deny also.
I mean, honestly, Madam Chair, too, we really didn't hone in on it, but just the impact to the victims.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what they're going through. And for this brave lady to come forward after seeing it on the news, if they were here to speak on to advocate, and I'm sure that they've been extended the invitation, it's very,
but yeah, it is. And from what I read, they made their statement and made their comment, and they just, did not want to, pursue anything any further. They just completely wanted to, not be near anything to do with him. And it was very traumatic for them. So you're absolutely right. We have to set special parole, and I have victims KS and AL and problem sexual behavior treatment, and I have halfway house. I didn't know if anyone had anything else.
Nope.
That's all I had.
No.
halfway house,
Okay.
sex behavior, and no victim.
And I had nature and circumstances.
That's my reason.
Okay. we can have.
That's the only reason why I have to deny it, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
I just really think that the substance abuse piece that he's speaking of, he's saying that it's had a, but in my opinion, I don't know, but, the him not taking the substance abuse problem, the substance abuse treatment is not my issue. My issue is, the nature.
right, but I think we need to have these two. We don't?
I don't think so.
I would have added an adequate release plan, just because I don't think he had strong enough relapse prevention.
Okay.
Okay.
That's, I would add that.
So in the case of Fernando Cruz, inmate number 4000910, there is a motion to deny discretionary parole for these reasons: nature and circumstances of the current offense and inadequate release plan. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Okay, motion, I say aye, motion carries.
Madam Chair, you need to set the special court condition.
So we are going to now set special parole conditions. I'm looking at the expression on his face, so that's why I hesitated. Do you understand what we just said?
Yeah,
Okay, so now we're going to set your special parole conditions, okay? No contact with victims KS and AL, problem sexual behavior treatment, and release to a halfway house. Do I have a second for that?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. So, Mr. Cruz, we wish you the best of luck. Work on a good release plan.
what do you mean? I get approval or?
No, that's why I asked you. I hesitated before I set your special parole conditions because I saw the look on your face and I asked you if you understood what I had just said. We denied you and I gave you the two reasons:
Okay,
nature and circumstances of the current offense and inadequate release plan.
okay,
Okay?
but, I got denied, but I could apply for my halfway house.
You can do whatever you
Bad boys, what you want, what